Hello there. We've got basically, I've gone carrot crazy. Yeah, I did. I made a lot of stuff. I can't wait to share you. 4-part series because of it. I'm Whitney with Crafty Thoughts and Whatnots. Let's jump into the craft room. So, first of many to come, this video's got three. Because I seem to have think that I could have put 5 or 6 or 8 projects in one video and it not been 6 hours long. Any hoodle. First project, I'm going to start with our Dollar Tree goodies. So these two little crates you see up the top left here, I bought these a while back. So they don't have their tag on them. I don't even know if you can get them. They're just tiny little square crates. They had like a little jute thing on them. I took them off. And then this was you can see the carrot cut out here. That was brand new to this year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stack these two guys together, but what I did was I forgot to put Spanish moss in the center one, or in the bottom one, before I put all the glue on there. So, of course, try to avoid gluing your fingers because that stuff hurts, And then when we're stacking these, I'm using it for height. So the bottom one is not going to be accessible anymore, which is why I put Spanish moss in the bottom of it so that it has, it's just not an empty crate at the bottom. It looks like it's should you put, I put Spanish moss in this at the end, but it basically doesn't have anything in it just yet. You could put anything in here. You could put candy or flowers. You could put anything in there, but I did just fill it with Spanish moss just for effect in order to not leave it empty. But what I'm going to do is I'm using these crates here to basically turn our carrot into a stand-up piece. And then also on top of that, it could also, again, hold candy or pencils or pens or whatever you might want to put in a festive jelly beans, even though you won't be able to see it. Maybe not because it's wood. But anyways, what I did was I laid the carrot on top of my crates and I used a pencil and I kind of traced around that so I know where to not paint because we're going to use wood glue. Wood glue needs to touch wood to wood. Now the carrot is MDF. It's some sort of wood, maybe not be real wood, but at some point it is a type of wood or wood-like product. And then the crates are definitely wood. So I'm going to paint the carrot white on the back and the sides. The front, we're going to do a cute little applique. We're going to put some stuff on the front. We don't need to paint it. So you'll see me here. I'm painting around where I traced out where our crates are going. And then I'm going to leave the back of it white. We're going to distress it with some dark wax later on once we're done with all this. But again, I'm just leaving the back in the portion where it's going to touch the crate, not painted. And then all these little edges here. This was super exciting. Had I known this was foreshadowing as to what it would be like to try to, once I cover it with some scrapbook paper on the top of it here. And it is very, time consuming / interesting, not rage inducing at all to try to file around all those cute little, green leafy turns and curls up there. But anyways, you'll see that in a few minutes. Now I'm going to paint the crate white also. That way we have a good starting coat on everything before I distress it, the life out of it, because that's how I like to do it. And again, just put a solid coat of everything. This is, I believe, now this isn't special paint. This is not DIY paint. This is just regular. I think this is folk art. It's just chalk paint because I didn't want to have to deal with absolutely 100% sealing it. This one had a lot of little nooks and crannies and creases and stuff. So now that we did all that, the front is plain. Obviously, we did not cover that. Now the back is ready to be glued. But first, before we do that, I'm going to take, this is green scrapbook paper. I couldn't tell you where I got it. It's just your average scrapbook paper. I don't really even know what thickness it is. It's not too bad, but it does have a cute little, almost like a basket weave texture to it. It's a really cute one. It's not a thick one. It doesn't have a core to it. If you're a scrapbooker, you'll know what I mean. But it's not a pretty thick. It's not very thick at all. So what I'm doing here is I'm using my double stick adhesive. This is a glue runner that I bought on Amazon. And I am going to place that down in the middle and then around these little curly edges because there's so many little special, turns and curves and all kinds of good stuff. I just use some wood glue with my finger just to get the edges down. Once this, dries, again, wood glue is pretty good glue for everything, but again, it's specifically for wood and paper is wood, right? See how I made the connection there with its previous life and its future life. And anyways, we're going to glue this down with just the edges are going to get the wood glue. And again, because that was closest to me, because we're going to need it for when we put the crate down. Here's where I'm telling you, I tried to X-Acto knife it and it was just making me too mad. So basically between X-Acto knife, taking the bigger chunks out and then really getting in there with that's a nail file. Actually, I did see here, I won domino. Haha. I did get in there and I get all the little grooves out. So this is just basically sanding off the edges to get a really good clean edge. along with working at it with a X-Acto knife and then also that. Now, look how cute that is. So I used these shorts here. These are jean shorts I got from Goodwill probably last year before that. I used them because I wanted the pockets out of them. I made a Father's Day tribute gift for my sister and me and my mom. And I had some leftover denim. Now I thought this would be super cute. And then when I saw this little, hole here on the leg, the front of the leg, I said, you know what? We're going to put that on the carrot. And we're going to put the little hole on the carrot too. So I cut out a chunk on that first part. And by the way, you're going to see a lot of denim in this particular video. And I think maybe the second one also, because I wanted to use up some of those shorts. They've been sitting in my stash with all my fabrics for a while. And I felt like, I'm going to be using a lot of blues for some reason in the next two videos, because I feel like blue with orange carrots is very springy, very cute. I can't get over it. So you'll see some more denim features. Now, I traced around the outside, but I didn't have it 100% lined up where I wanted to have those little, holes from the front of the jean shorts there. So had to retrace it. No harm, no foul. Once I get where I want my placement at, I'm going to cut that out. And then the top of it here, I didn't trace out because it's just going to be kind of like a curved edge. And then I'm going to end up trimming that a little bit more. So I'm getting the placement right where I want it to be. And then you'll see here, it kind of comes up a little bit too high on there, which we're going to cover that with a ribbon and buttons and all kinds of stuff. So, hindsight's 20/20. I almost said 50/50. Hindsight's 20/20. That part right there at the top doesn't matter. But in any event, do what makes you happy. Apparently, I thought it did matter at the time. So the holes here in the denim you could see through just barely. I mean, to the point where it almost also doesn't matter. But for my own peace of mind here, I put some orange scrap pieces I had underneath, so you'll see, just in case something should move around. And then we're going to use hot glue to put down this piece of denim anyway, so it's almost, again, like it doesn't matter. See there, that's the idea of it. But then also when I'm going in now with my hot glue gun, you're going to see that I kind of just glue it all down solid. And even those little white pieces there where the fabric has been, where the denim's been frayed off and it's missing the blue part, that gets glue on it too. So it really kind of doesn't even move around very much. So this is a if you wanna, it was an idea I had while I was making it. One of those steps where you think of, well, it's probably useless, but maybe not. But hey, who cares? Because it made me happy at the time. So we'll just go with that. So from here, I'm just using more hot glue, and I'm putting it all across the entire bottom part of the carrot. So every piece of denim should be solid, should be sent down, and just making sure I've got my edges around. Now, because this isn't paper, we're going to rough up the edges. Again, we're still going to do our, sandpaper, or I use a sanding block technique, but we're not necessarily going for a clean edge like we would with scrapbook paper or decoupage paper. After filling in all the hot glue here, which I'm done in about a second, you'll see me fill in the last little piece here. That denim's not coming up. She's on there. It's cute. So now we're going to move on to the edge of the denim. And from here, I just roughed up all of it all around to where I could get a really good, see, that's too clean of an edge. You could tell it's been cut with scissors, and it's just not cute. So here's my finger sander first. And what I'm doing is I'm purposely roughing up the edge of the denim to get it to look frayed. Now, I did cut a little piece off here. These are just some little extra detail scissors I already have. And I am going for a frayed look. I want to fray it. I want it to look aged and like it was always meant to be on the front of a carrot. See, we're going for that roughed up look there. Now, I will do this more in excess with a larger sanding block, and then I will come back and forth to it a lot. There was so much denim fuzz all over my craft room and on my face. Apparently at one point I went out and was like, what is that? You ever just find like random splotch of paint somewhere? Like, what is that? And you look on the bottom of your arm and you're like, oh, I must have stuck my elbow in it. Yeah, there was denim fuzz everywhere. It was all over me. It was all over my craft room. Because like I said, this is not the first project that we're going to be using denim in. So it's kind of just one of those things. Be prepared to get messy if you want to do this. But it looks so cute. Do you see the edge that we're going for? We're going for that messy, just going for that messy, sloppy, distressed look. Now, we got the two main pieces together. The rest is decoration. We can now put our actual, main structure together. I need the crates so that the carrot stands up on its own. So here I'm going to put some hot glue and wood glue. Trying my best to keep them separated so that they're not touching. So I'm going to put some wood glue on the crates and then on the very end of the carrot just to make sure the carrot has good coverage. I'm going to use my finger to kind of spread out that wood glue so that it doesn't just, scoosh out all over the bottom. Because again, yellow wood glue is yellow and it doesn't look right. Even after it dries, you can't work with it like you can. Like hot glue gets a little, it's like a rubbery silicone thing. You can kind of cut out hot glue, but wood glue is just hard and it doesn't look cute at all. You can't even painting over it. It's like meh. So that's why I did that with my glue at the bottom. Now I got the two together. Make sure you stand them up right here to make sure you got your piece even with the bottom of the crate, and you're good to go. Now this is after letting it sit and cure probably maybe 2 or 3 hours. Went off, did my own thing, then came back. And so again, you didn't need to because we used the hot glue for immediate hold. But what we're going to do here is with all this edging here, we're going to do buttons and we're going to add ribbons and twine. But first, I want to distress all around it. So we're going to use our dark wax. Now I get all of my DIY products. This is a Debbie's Design Diary DIY product. It's called, it's just their wax. This particular color is called dark. I use clear, white, and dark in most of my projects. And I have my brush out here, but I haven't actually loaded it up. This is just what's left in the brush here. So you're getting a very light coating. And I kind of go around all this, maybe wasting a little bit of time, because what I do is I end up loading that brush back up. I get a paper towel and kind of dab off of it, but I wanted you to at least see the shading is happening. It's just happening at a very light pace. And that's just how I try to do things at first, because remember, you can always add, but you can't take away. It's kind of like if you dump way too much salt in it, it's just going to be salty. For this one, I just wanted to wait and see how it looked. It was a little bit too light for me, so I did load up the brush a little bit more, and then what I do is I grind it into the bristles of the wax brush. I use a stencil brush for my waxes, so I'm kind of pushing that wax deeper into the brush so that it kind of has its own, it's already loaded per se. So I'm using the heavier pieces here on the back of the crate, and then I'm going to kind of smudge up some of these spots in the middle. I wanted to smudge up that little, roughed up part of the jeans, but then here I loaded it up and I'm pushing it in. See, I'm pushing it in pretty hard, and then I went around the edges for a darker look. This was a little bit too dark, but what I ended up doing, especially around the top here in the greenery pieces, is because it's wax and we're putting it on paper, a different type of medium, you can still smudge it. You can use paper towel and kind of buff it up and around. And I don't mind how dark it is on the denim. And it worked out very well for me on the greenery at the top. So now my favorite part, we're going to play with buttons. I played with buttons so much in this whole adventure. There's buttons. There's going to be buttons in every episode, the 4 episodes. So between the two, I just kind of I got this big old pack of orange buttons from Amazon. Almost all my buttons are from Amazon. But the orange pack I got last year, I think I believed him for Christmas. I think I used him for a carrot picture last Easter. So between my orange and then I picked out a bunch of different blue colors, I kind of just was decorating the denim. I can say maybe once we're done here, I'll show you. You'll have to tell me what you think. I might have kind of sort of just tiny, a little bit, not too much, but maybe sort of kind of tiny itty bitty bit went a little overboard with buttons. But I think most of you here have mentioned to me before how much you love buttons as well as I do. And it's not just because I like to stick my fingers in it and dig through them. It's the fact that they're just so adorable. And I don't know why a random button stuck somewhere is cute to me, but it is. So there's my orange and blue buttons at the bottom. And I thought I was done. So I'm taking this cute little festive orange grosgrain from Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to tie a shoelace bow. Nothing fancy, guys. Literally just like you're tying your shoes. So just take a loop in the right. I do a 1 loop thing when I tie my shoes, and then pull your tails. And then what you're going to do is you're going to search for the pieces where you're going to tighten instead of pulling the loops bigger. And I'm going to tighten those super hard. I'm just going to pull so hard on them you wouldn't believe. It's not going anywhere, Whitney. So after I cut off the tail from my loose end, I make sure I kind of on ribbon this small. I personally love dovetail, but when it's too tiny, I won't do it. So I did diagonals, and now I'm securing just our little knot in our bow so our bow doesn't come undone. And then I'm also going to take some far, and we're going to melt the edges so that the ends of the tails don't fray. And now I'm going to take my itty bitty tiny little small, going to run out tomorrow, spool of jute that I got from Amazon probably a year before last. And I'm going to just do a big long jute thingy. My plan was to have a thingy. That's what I literally said. That's the technical term, thingy. So I grabbed a big old amount of jute. I burned off all the fuzzies. Also, my candle lighter is going dead. I need to get a new lighter. I don't even know where to do that anymore. Probably Amazon. Now, I tied this around the back with the whole piece, this one whole large piece. You'd think I would have used maybe, I don't know, the other end of it or half of it. So again, same premise. I'm tying my shoes. I made the loops a little bit bigger so you can see them because they're going to rest behind. It's going to rest behind our grosgrain ribbon. And then it's okay, Whitney, this is a little bit too long. So I cut off the pieces, and now I have these 2 extra pieces because obviously, again, I tied it on the right in the dead center. Tack that down a little bit with some glue. And now I have these 2 loose pieces, right? Excuse me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend that I'm going to tie a bow. So I kind of loop them around like you would make the awareness ribbon shape and then pinch it in the middle. Now this is where you would take another piece of jute and or ribbon or something and secure it in the middle. But what I'm going to do is, because I want to put a button, I don't want to create a knot. I'm going to put more buttons. Again, this is where the button madness happens. I'm going to put more buttons. So I take the loop where you would normally cinch it or tie it with another piece of jute or string, and I'm just going to apply glue to my grosgrain ribbon, and I'm going to push all of these little strands of jute in the center into the glue, if that even sounds right. I'm not sure. You'll have to let me know, but you're going to see me do it right here. So here I'm applying glue to my orange bow, and then I am going to take my loose bow, which has not been secured in the middle. So I've only pinched it, and I'm just going to swoosh it down into that glue that I made, a little glue dot basically. And so every strand of that bow from the jute is touching it. So all 4 loops and then the 2 tails, the way we have it looped together, it's touching that glue. So you can see there, I put more glue on top, and I'm putting a bigger blue button. As you can see there, I did kind of go, oh, hey, look, I could tuck some green buttons under here, because it did still kind of stick out. It had some height because of the knot with the grosgrain. So I don't want you to be able to see above and below. I don't like it when you can see too much of the behind the scenes, you know. We don't want to pull back the curtain too far, you know what I'm saying? So I took some extra buttons and I tucked them up underneath in the gaps, under the bow, under the jute. So here's a lighter blue button, and I'm just going to put some glue under there and literally stick the edge of the button in the glue. You don't have to glue the back of the button down every time. So I'm just kind of using it like I would almost if we were adding florals or some other accent to it. So as you see here, I'm gluing in the 2 green buttons that I thought I was going to stop at. Yeah, I really did think that was it. I said, you know what? These 2 green buttons are such a great little accent because I have buttons above and I have buttons below, and it's all great and fine and dandy. Yeah. And then I thought, it's a little bare up here. Let me go grab a bunch of green buttons out of my stash and just go, yeah, we're going to add all these in. I literally add pretty much almost all of these in. So you're going to see me just play around and add buttons like they're, you know, cake frostings. Little sprinkles on top of it. Yeah, I was just decorating. It made me feel good. Excuse me, I'm drinking some water. Yeah, I did it. I sure did. And also I started to stack them because layers make things look cuter in my opinion. If you start to layer items, you'll get different heights, different textures. For me, it draws my eye in. It makes me happy. I smile when I see things like this. So I'm making fun of it, but at the same time, this is absolutely adorable to me, in my personal opinion, in my taste, and I love it. But again, you know, it's an acquired taste. It might be, oh, excuse me. My babies have woken. That would be Henry and Cosmo. I think Amazon's here. So you might be hearing them quite often throughout the videos now. So be aware, I have 3 wiener dogs. 2 of them are still puppies, and they bark a lot. But anyways, moving on. So after I glued down all of my copious amounts of buttons that make me happy, I just put some Spanish moss in the back of that. And I ended up adding more Spanish moss because to me, that was like, Whitney, what are you doing? You're, you know, half butting it with that Spanish moss on the top. So it kind of just, you see how it's Spanish moss, you can see it from both sides. So filling that bottom crate before we glued it together really made the difference for me. So that is it. Look how stinking cute that is. I love it. I mean, the denim, I don't know. I just saw the jean shorts sitting off to the side. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to put fabric on it. I'm not going to put paper on it. I'm going to put jeans denim on it. It just, you know, if you have some leftover, you know, stuff you want to donate and, you know, or they're just torn up, just rip old jeans and stuff. And I had to go buy these from Goodwill when I wanted to do a project the year before last. I love how this turned out. This makes me so happy. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me what you think. She's so cute. And she's for sale in my coffee page. Let's go take a look. Now, our second little project for this video is going to start out with this Christmas tag ornament dealy-do. Now, again, guys, I'm apologizing for the length of this video because it's only 3 projects and it's about an hour, almost like 50 some minutes long. Lots of steps, but I had a lot of fun doing this. And I don't want to leave things out. I try to think like maybe if I could cut corners, but I feel like I need you to see exactly how many steps are involved and exactly how I got from point A to point B. So that's why I do what I do. Now look here. Once I got the tags apart, I realized that the back tag, Dollar Tree, was cutting corners, and now I have to cut an extra corner. So their cutting corners was a non-cut of a corner that I had to then cut a new corner of. Does that make sense? They didn't cut a corner. They cut a corner by not cutting a corner, which made me cut a corner. You know what I'm saying? I'm self-entertained. Anyhow, what I want to do is I'm going to turn these into carrots, obviously, since this is my crazy carrot video. I literally went carrot mad. And yeah, so I'm going to find the center of the tag, and then I'm going to draw up diagonally from that center to the side to each side. I just picked a diagonal that I felt looked good, and then I made that same dot on the left. So now we have an even triangle, or to make it come to a point. Now, my miter box here was not at the right angles that I needed to cut certain things, but my saw worked perfectly fine. Now, don't worry, everything is still safe. I was using the other tag on top of it as a guide. You don't have to put much pressure on this stuff. It's only, who knows what it actually is. Oh my goodness. Sorry. Henry, baby, come here. It's just multiple layers of probably, I don't know, tissue paper, cards, toilet paper, who knows what it is, but it's basically like what MDF. It's from the Dollar Tree. Yeah. Go with that. You already know. So again, my miter box wasn't working too well, but my saw did. So I'm cutting through 2 layers of these goodies right here. And we've got to make sure we don't really cut into our mat too much. So when I got to a specific point here, it just kind of falls. Oh, excuse me. It just kind of falls apart on its own. I mean, not in a bad way. You saw here, I was able to, Wow. I sanded it down, and we had really good clean edges. So after that, check them out. We got a little one and we got a big one. We got a little carrot and a big carrot, and they're so stinking cute. I can't help it. Now we're going to paint it. Wait, sorry guys, this is real life. Henry, come here. This is real life. Sorry guys, I can't keep stopping just because the dogs bark, because that is what it is. So I'm going to paint this with acrylic paint because we're going to put burlap over the top. And the burlap I have has a lot of little windows, a lot of little holes in it. So I'm just putting a couple coats. I think I did about 2 coats, which again, you just want to cover up whatever design is under there, as well as also make sure that the holly jolly isn't seen. But we're also going to cover even more with decorative goodies and buttons and more denim. So as you can see here, I was just taking a look like, yeah, no, we can't see through it anymore. You cannot see it through anymore. And so we're ready to go. So flipping it over, and we're going to put our carrots down, face down, and we're going to use liquid patina on this right here. So the liquid patina I get from miltonsdaughter.com also. This is what basically I use as a decoupage medium. So it's very, very good at using it. And then I don't specifically have like Mod Podge or for fabric or anything, but since this burlap is a bit thicker, we need to use more of the product just, to really saturate the burlap. And then I had to wait for it to dry. So some patience I did have to practice some patience with it. Not saying that I liked it, but I did it. So at first I was putting on a really thin coat, and then I thought about it. I was like, no, this burlap's pretty thick. So then I started to add a lot more to it. So you'll see how much is really on here at first. And that's just because you want it to soak through. You really need it to really turn the burlap into glued fabric itself. So you need to make sure that the fabric and the burlap or whatever you're using soaks up that decoupage medium. So put some pretty decent amounts underneath it there, and then I'm using my finger to push it down just to make sure it's really on there. I dried it minimally before I added my top layer, and then when I did this, after I added this top layer, I went to dinner. I came back later, a couple hours later. I gave it more than enough time. It was still sort of damp when I came back, but not too bad. So here I'm just kind of pushing in, bigger amounts of Mod Podge in there. I gave it a little bit more dry time, and then here's after I came back for a couple hours. You can still see a little bit of white there in the center, but we're ready to cut it apart. Now on this edge here, on one of them, I think I cut it a little bit too short, but once we're done, you can't tell. So after this, it's just basically taking my scissors and cutting around the edges. Now, the edges of the burlap that are still touching the piece have already hardened. It's almost like it's some sort of, crafting voodoo that's been done with this stuff. It literally turned the burlap into as hard of a piece as the actual, particle wood board that's underneath there. It's like almost a chipboard. It feels like a chipboard strength at that point. So I'm cutting through it with just my regular scissors. Then I had to get closer to the edge of it. So once we cut the edges off of both our small carrot and our large carrot, now you see there at the top of it, it's a little bit weird because the top of it's still tag shaped, but I think it's cute. It's like a little geometric carrot. Again, realistically, none of these carrots are going to be growing out of the ground covered in denim and buttons, but to each their own. So now what I need to do is I need to put holes in them so that we can hang them. So I got my crocodile out. Now this is a scrapbooking tool that I've got, and you can get it off of Amazon. I got mine from there. And there's a big bite that I want to get eventually because like this one, I had some problems sticking this guy in there and it kind of messed up a little bit it messed up the burlap a little bit, but all that's getting covered with you can imagine, buttons and bows and greenery, oh my. Now, here's my leftover piece from what we cut off for our carrot in our first one. And I'm just going to cut some random squares off of the leftovers here. Now, these are actually bigger than what they end up being, but you're going to see the process on how they get there. So starting off on the small one, I'm just going to take my, finger sander, and it's easier to just push it up against the table, put it down on the table, and then just kind of rough it left and right. See how it goes. You're going to see all this kinds of stuff flying off of it. You're going to see how it's getting all over the place. And then of course I'm using my fingernails and I'm kind of fraying it for itself. That's not where we stop. That's just where I stopped at this point. But yeah, no, I'll continue to mess with it some more. And now the bigger piece is the same thing. I wanted to go for the very frayed, very weathered look. So it just, whatever it took at that point. And then I figured out I got my bigger sander out and we took more of the top layer off of the blue layer off. Now we got our pieces ready to go, but again, I want to dark wax our edges. Now, if you noticed, I didn't open the dark wax because it's still loaded up from when we did our first carrot on our first project. And look how dark it's still coming off. That's why I can come back to this brush like a week later. Usually if I do one video and then I'm doing the next video the next week, there's a lot of times if I only want just a light, distressing, I don't even have to get the little, jar of wax out because the brush is still loaded and it doesn't dry out. I don't keep it in a bag or anything, but I keep it in my little my little cabinet with all the rest of my paints and waxes. And it's a pretty decent, dependable thing. I can usually load up even just a little. I can get just a little light distressing out of something if I just want to put a little bit on there. And here's me realizing, look, that's just a little bit too big. So I did put wax on the denim before I glued it down. And then here's me roughing up that edge to make sure. So I cut them both down just a little bit because they did seem to be a little bit too big. And that's where we're starting. So we've got our two pieces. We got holes in the tops of them because we're going to use that to hang it on. And I've already pre-selected my buttons. Look how cute these are. They're so cute. Yes. And I did stick my fingers in all the buttons forever. I just didn't think that you wanted to watch me do that for like 20 minutes because it's easy to get lost in the buttons. Tell me, you get lost in buttons, you let me know. Gluing down my denims first, and then my little pre-selected button selections here, an orange and a blue for each one. And I don't remember if I layered them. I think those buttons on the top left, I don't believe I put them in there. We'll find out together. I did right here specifically, I don't know if this matters, it did to me. I wanted to make sure that button was kind of hanging off of the denim on one side. So it's glued to the denim and the burlap behind there, kind of like the button is its own pin. Look how cute it is. I don't know what it is about these just weird little collages of, sloppy, distressed, weathered, frayed farmhouse goodness. It just makes me happy. This stuff is so cute and I want to squeeze it. That cuteness aggression, it happens all the time. And the same thing, I glued my denim down and then I put my button half on the denim, half on not really half, but part way on the denim and partially on the burlap, just for like making it look like it's an anchor piece, the way it looks like it. Otherwise, safety pins would work too, but I didn't have anything I could actually safety pin that to. So I did 2 blue buttons on this apparently. We're going to watch this together, just so you know, not like I edited it and, did it, but I don't remember. Now, I'm adding another button just to the top left of this bow. or bow to this top but left button just because I wanted more. I wanted a layer, wanted to add more to it. It's a bigger carrot, so it just have more goodies on it. Now we're going to add just little hangers to this, nothing special. It's going to be covered up by a bow and some greenery. So it's not too important what you hang it by, but if you need to hang it, again, most of the stuff I make, I end up making for tiered tray or shelf sitter purposes. This, you could actually even hang this on a doorknob or just somewhere cute and discreet next to, candle holders. If you have a little small area with your little small details, it's really, it could be used anywhere. So the jute here, I'm doing a square knot on the end. So that's basically tying left over right, then right over left. So you get a square knot. And then what I'll do is I'll feed that through the tops of the carrots where we put the holes with our crocodiles. Now I'm going to take the loop part and I'm going to push that through the hole. And then what I will do is pull the loop through, and then I'm going to take the tied part where the knot is, and let me see, did I put it through the loop or did I put the loop through the knot part? So let's see. Come closer. Please, come closer. Come to me. I did. So I'm showing you, here's my loop. And this is where we're going to put it through. We're going to take the knot. Okay. I'm taking the knot and pulling the knot through my regular loop. Which is not looking, no, actually I put the loop through the knot part. All right, well, yeah. In any event, what I should have done, watching this back, I would have put the loop in the front because we're going to cover the front with bows and greenery. You're not going to see any of it. And then the back would have been clear. But I'm remembering now, yes, I did take a piece of greenery and I covered up the back of that loop so you don't see that knot. So after I cut the tails off, you can still see that there's a knot there. And for me, that's kind of a behind the scenes thing. It's not too cute. And remember, I like my stuff to look very, very finished on the back. So without having to put like a craft paper or some sort of sealer on it or so on and so forth. Because even then, if you try to cover everything with craft paper, it does end up a little lumpy. And the lumpy stuff is not as cute. So anyways, I'm securing it down here with some hot glue. Nothing crazy. And then what do we do next? So there's one loop down. And then the second one I'm just going to run through pretty quick. Same thing. We're going to push the loop through our hole at the top. And then this one I put the loop through the knot again. And then we will cut off the tails, put down a little bit of just a little dab of glue to secure it. And then we have our two hangers. Now we've got some greenery. Now this is brand new to me from my Dollar Tree I just got recently. It is a eucalyptus. I like the fact that it was a very it was a draping greenery. It's very long, and a lot of times people will, especially myself, I will put the wrong greenery, or quote unquote, I'm using air quotes like you can see me, the wrong greenery. It's a fake carrot. We're making things to look like them. It's not like it's important, but you pull a carrot out of the ground, it's got really long greenery on it. So I thought this might look cute, and it kind of does to me, honestly. It's like this is the only carrot I did this style with the longer greenery popping down. But if you'll see here, I put it in on layers, and then I would cut the longer pieces off, and then from those pieces I cut off, I would then cut off more and then layer them together. So with that being said, I was just kind of at this point tucking other shorter pieces in, or at least if they're longer, then I cut them. And then here I'm tucking the bottom pieces in. So I've cut the stem off of the bottom of that. So you have those two eucalyptus leaves. Those are what we're actually going to secure to the top of the carrot and then to the other eucalyptus that's already there. So we've got a little spot of 3, and then here's me taking one of those little leaves off and then covering up the back. And I do the same thing to both carrots. So here's my little starter guy here. And then to make sure it hangs where I want it to, I did secure it in a second spot just further up and to the left to make sure the greenery hung where I wanted it to. And that's another cute little, behind the scenes, a hack. If you want it to lay where you want it to, you got to glue it there. Especially if it has a mind of its own, it's not wired, it will do what it wants. Well, I will make you glue here. This is your home. You will go to your home and you will stay there. And so from now, I cut a second one there, and I'm just kind of tucking it into the glue that was already there for that piece I put on top. And then also covering up our second little guy on the back so that we have, 2 uniform pieces because they're twins, or at least related. And then look, I've got some green. I have some more grosgrain, but this time in this perfect blue color. Again, this blue color with the orange carrots, I just makes me happy. It's a Easter thing. It's like a springy Easter thing that I love. It's like I'm not really big on blues to begin with. I don't do much with blue. You guys know that I'm literally I love greens, green and greenery, greens, browns, whites, natural woods, stains, stuff like wood stained. But this blue color looks so cute with orange carrots. I can't get over it. This also might look good with pumpkins. You know, pumpkins are orange. Just FYI. Punky love. Now, I tied a shoelace bow very easy like we did on our first project. And for this one, I'm going to glue it in sideways. So I'm going to use this bow vertically instead of horizontally. And I like how it turns out. And then we're going to layer it with a jute bow on top. Now, I'm doing a finger bow here. I've done some finger bows. I've been doing them for a while, but I've also been practicing them longer. I made a short little video. I know sometimes this stuff's pretty difficult, but practice does make perfect. I have a finger bow tutorial linked in my description below. It's just a 5-minute video. It'll show you some details and it's slowed down. And just remember, I am not perfect at it either. It takes time and a lot of practice. I used to keep a piece of ribbon on my desk and in my office and in my purse, and I would just practice wherever I was, whether I was standing in line or at the grocery store. I would practice everywhere. I just tie finger bows constantly. And I got to the point where it became muscle memory and I remembered it. And look how cute they are. And then you just glue that cute little jute. Now it is easier with twine than it is ribbon. So maybe start out with twine or string, because you know the jute twine has a little bit more, it's a little stiffer. It's easier to use. Try that first. Now, for my second carrot, I didn't actually do a bow. I took a piece of ribbon and kind of just cut it into 2 pieces. And then from there, I tied a knot in the middle of it. And then I put diagonal cuts on the ends, which would technically be your tails. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer these 2 together. So I have a bigger one per se, like a longer one, and a shorter one. So I'm going to take the knot and I'm going to glue the knot to the top of our carrot just above the greenery. So this is acting as our bow. This is kind of like your little, just your layered pieces. If you have something that's really small and you still want to just put a small accent on it, then this is kind of like my go-to. It also is within the same style medium that I like. So, you know, it just looks like you had some remnant pieces or some leftover goodies. And look how cute it is when you layer the 2 of them together. It's like literally, it's not even a bow. It's a knot. If you can tie a knot, you can make this. And then once again, we're going to do another little finger bow. Now see, that one I had to start over. Now, this one I'm trying to do as small as I possibly can because I obviously want it to be to size for this one. It's a smaller carrot. And I got my chunky little fingers stuck in there, so I had to literally work it off my fingers. But look how cute it is. It's so tiny. It's such a small little baby bow. Oh, don't forget to burn your fuzzies, if that's for you. I personally burn fuzzies. I don't like leaving things too fuzzy. But look how cute it is. It's so cute. And once again, we're going to layer that on top of our blue grosgrain. Oh, so cute. I don't know what it is. You see me smiling like a big old goofball. The colors, the textures, all the layering, it just makes me so happy. And I don't actually decorate for Easter either. You guys know me. I leave pumpkins out year round. I am a pumpkin person. So, but I totally would love to leave these out. They're so cute. And then everything in this whole entire series you're going to see for 4 different videos. Everything will be listed for sale on my coffee shop. So take a peek at that. There is a link in my description and also in the first pinned comment below, which also you can make donations there too. You don't necessarily have to purchase anything, but I figure if you want to make a donation, you might be able to just purchase something and get something for your support. But in any event, it's not required, but appreciated. But just go take a peek if you want to see what I got there. Now, I just wanted to add one more little piece of accent. I felt like it needed something white to break up all that bright green plasticky, Dollar Tree goodies there. So this is a little bush that I just got recently at Michael's with their spring goodies that came out. And I'm just cutting enough of the ends of them off so you have more of the white little pieces there. And that's kind of where I left it. I mean, guaranteed, I'm pretty sure. I don't know, since I live in the desert and nor have I ever farmed in my life, but I would like to believe that there's something cute on the top of every carrot. Aside from the buttons and the denim patches, the farmers have to get rid of those for us, right? And then you got these cute little, they're almost, I would call them door handle ornaments. You could also hang these from the handles in your kitchen, off of kitchen cabinets if you have those. That would be super cute too. I have handles in my kitchen that literally make me question why I chose them because, they're super cute. and stylish. They look great, but your pockets and your jean loops and belt loops and everything gets stuck on them constantly. But the upper cabinets, you could hang these guys on there and they would look super cute. Or again, a door handle, or just setting them off to the side. There's both of them hanging up. Let me know what you think. I love them. Now, our last project for this video is going to start out with a Dollar Tree 4x6 canvas frame. So we're going to do the normal thing because we're going to do a reverse canvas thing. And we're going to take out all the staples. We're going to remove the canvas itself and then fix any of the holes. This is going to leave behind some holes. This one didn't come apart so easily. The canvas did get a little torn, but again, we're not using the full canvas. We're going to glue it back down, so we do have some room for error. And the staples did really not want to release on this. So some I've had ones that just fall right out, other times it didn't. So I had to do a little bit of sanding. But after that, we're going to take my favorite stain, or this is basically a wood tint from Folk Art. It's Home Decor Folk Art in the color walnut. Now, this wood in some places really soaked up the wood tint, and in other places it wouldn't take it at all. So again, chalk it up to Dollar Tree. It is what it is. It's Dollar Tree wood, but you'll see it looks so cute in the end. At first I was like, well, geez, this is really, really dark for a spring project, but it really did work for me for pretty much everything. So I did the tops, the bottoms, and the outside and the inside. Make sure you do the inside of the frame, but we don't need to do the back of it because we're going to glue the back down. So doing all those edges all around, we're going to let that girl dry. And now here's the canvas. After I have taken my masking tape here, taped it off all around the sides, I'm going to take my acrylic paint here. This is called Pale Blue, the color Pale Blue from Craftsmart, just a cheap little acrylic paint. And I ended up doing a couple coats. This went on really easy. Again, it's just an acrylic paint. You were using it for a background, for a backdrop, nothing crazy or, totally hard. As you can see here, you apply paint and then you dry and then you apply more paint and then you dry. In case you didn't know. Now, look at those colors together. Isn't that a pretty, the prettiest walnut just looks so nice with that. Now look how cute these are. These are erasers. I saw the carrots from I don't know what it is about fat little carrots. They're just so adorable. It's almost like my second obsession would be carrots after pumpkins. So also you could do the same thing like this for pumpkins for fall. Now, I saw the 8-pack and I thought, I'm just going to line up all 8 erasers. But something like this was my idea, my original idea. It wasn't speaking. It wasn't blowing my skirt up. Know what I mean? I wasn't having it. So I turned it vertical and I said, let me try messing around with it like this. This one took on a couple different, I cut some of it out, but I tried to leave some of it in so you can see exactly my creation project. Now, I have these little cutouts from last year year before, the little bunny cutouts from Dollar Tree. And I thought, well, maybe I could do this, but then the carrots on the bottom are crooked. So they can't have crooked carrots. So I was like, oh, let me put the bunny down here at the bottom. Because I only got 8 erasers, but I needed 9 spots to get that, odd number. Now, I have just enough leftover Christmas ribbon to put some buffalo check in here. So now my idea is to run some ribbon behind each row of all of our goodness. Now, I got to outline my frame so I know exactly where I need to glue it down to. Because I need to glue this down before I attach my frame to the top of the canvas, right? So here's me trying to measure, but then I'm like, well, I don't know where the top and the bottom is, Whitney, because I didn't actually do that. So I'm layering these on top without the frame first. I don't know why. And then I'm going to take my frame and say, okay, yes, it fits. And then I'm going to mess around and fuss with it. So I got my decent placement, you could say. So I started to dedicate, I'm going to glue this down. So I took hot glue and I just it's a thinner ribbon. It's not like it's a crazy, heavy accent that's going to, you need to put cement or anything. So I'm just putting some hot glue down in a strip all the way across. And then we're going to hot glue stuff on top of it too. So it's not going anywhere. And then I made sure I had my ribbon down first because I want this to be underneath the frame. So that way you're not trying to put ribbon on over the frame or around the frame. So this is going on first. I'm trying to at least think ahead of my plan of what I wanted to do. So I had this fine. I'm just going to erase my pencil lines just in case you can see them once we put our frame back on top. And then I'm going to just use regular hot glue. I'm applying a decent amount and trying to go as quickly as you can because basically it's, starting to cool off and solidify while you're holding it. But then also once you're done doing this application of hot glue, you don't want to stick your finger in it and burn yourself. But then you also still need it to be even to make sure the top and the bottom are. So please excuse my brain holder right here in the way. I'll have to just push my head right into your view. And for some reason, I took forever pushing that down. Boop. Once this is good to go, we're going to take very sharp blade and just cut our canvas off of, off from the rest of it. We're cutting around this so that you have a very clean edge. Now for this one, I did have to go through a couple times on one side. There was one piece that just didn't want to let go, but the rest of this came off very perfectly. I didn't even have to trim with scissors or anything. Came off pretty nice and neat. And now I'm going to cover the back with browned craft paper before we staple it on. So I'm just taking this little extra piece off of the roll. This craft paper, or this is shipping paper, craft paper, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to call it. I got this in the office school section at Dollar Tree, but you can get them pretty much anywhere. So I traced out my frame, and I'm going to use my double stick tape, and I'm going to apply this all over the place. Now, had I thought about it, kind of stuck to itself a little bit, was a bit of a nightmare, but it's okay. We worked it out. I glued it down. And then from here, I'm going to then, after I push it all down and make sure everything's good to go, and I'm going to cut it off from the roll. And we're going to use our technique of our little sanding block, or this is a nail file. This works in a lot of good pinches. I got these off of Amazon in a large pack. They're very good for a lot of the sanding stuff. So we got a good clean edge from that. And then from here, we're going to take our stapler and I'm going to put some staples around it. So for this tiny little project, this has definitely been completely recovered, reworked, and definitely secured with glue, more glue, double stick tape, craft paper, and then some staples. So this little 4x6 frame is solid. Just saying, it's not coming apart. Its new home and its new look is staying there. Now, before we put all of our carrots down, I decided to stain the bunny the same color walnut as our frame, just to make it match. It's, I don't know, just something made me happy. I didn't want to leave it plain. Wanted it to kind of match a little bit, and she's so cute. So now it's time to take said bunny and place that right in the middle. And now we're going to just, I fussed with this a lot, so I did cut some of it out, but I also did just speed this up. This is sped up 6 or 8 times. I can't remember which one I did because I was like, wow, let me look here. Okay, I'm wrong. 3 times. I go from 3 times right now, and then I'll have it sped up to 8 times because I was trying to make sure placement of the actual carrot on the ribbon, how tall or how high, is trying to line it up with the green part of the erasers to make sure that they were in the right spot. I didn't want them to be too high or too low. Then I have to worry about how far from the edge of each side of the frame and the top and the bottom. And then it's like, you know what, when you just have fun, stop stressing over it. Because even if you want one to be like completely crooked, then make it completely crooked. It's just a little 4x6 frame for fun. This is also something that would look super cute in a tiered tray. But also, you could put some ribbon on the back of it, and I'll do the same thing as the carrots and hang it from maybe a doorknob or a cabinet knob. Honestly, it's just whatever you want to do with these cute little kitschy things. They look great on a desk, make you smile during the day if you're at work. Just cute little holiday decorations. That's what we do here, right? And you can just see I'm gluing these things down, and after a while, you can see here, I'm eyeballing it. I took that little tiny ruler and I put it away. And I'm just eyeballing it. You got a little bit of glue coming out. Then I used a little dotting tool there to kind of just, scratch that glue off, make sure it's okay. And then here now I'm sped up to 8 times. Now this one had some issue and the glue was mad, so I pulled it off. The glue came off okay. And I replaced it, used less glue so it doesn't squish out too far. And that was my own choice. I did pull that carrot off before the glue completely solidified, so it was still warm. Otherwise, this is completely hardened and they're not going anywhere. So they stick to the eraser, they stick to the ribbon, and the canvas. We're good to go. And that's it. Look how cute it is. But you think I'm done? Not done. Now we're going to use white wax on this one. We used dark wax on our last 2 projects, and for this one, I wanted to make it a little farmhouse dusty. Well, that's because we're working with a dark frame. So with a dark frame, we're going to use white wax, and with a lighter background, we're going to use dark wax. So for this one, I have the dark walnut frame, and I'm just going to dust all of our edges with the white wax. You could do the same thing with with paint if you want, like paint and a chip brush, and it'll give you more of a what do you call that? Just a chippy paint look. And I didn't want that. I wanted it to be dusty. I wanted it to look more of like not an ombre effect, but what's the word I'm looking for? More of a solid. And here I was starting to get a little bit too much in the frame. I was getting the whole frame, but you're going to see I'm just going to take a baby wipe and kind of rub around the inside of the frame here in a second. You'll see that once I speed this all up. I get all of my edges done. I go on the outside edges. And then here where you'll see I take a baby wipe just on the center and the insides, just to make sure I have that darker walnut showing up. And then I took some more to the bunny in the middle. Didn't want to make sure the middle of the bunny wasn't too light. So I'm just kind of wiping some of that wax off. And now we're done. Look how cute it is. It's just a cute little tiny thing that's just so effective. So effective, makes you so happy. Tell me your thoughts. I have another package of erasers too, because I had to buy two. I couldn't just buy one and just say, hey, I know exactly what I want to do with this, and then just buy one. No, I bought two. So I have another package of erasers. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. But you tell me what you think. Now, that's it for this episode or part. Again, if you're still with me, we're going over 50 some minutes now. So I appreciate you more than you know, man, because this is a long time to sit listening to my jibber jabber and watching crafts. But I've done it myself. I'm one of those people. I love watching stuff start to finish. I love watching people create things. So tell me what you think of this little group here. I have a coffee page. Now these guys and everything from this carrot crazy thing is going to be listed here for sale. But if you like my videos or you feel like you've learned something or you want to maybe send a donation my way, it helps support my channel. It keeps me going, making this great content. You just can do so there. Never required, always appreciated. And then with that all being said, you are my fuel. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for showing up. And I love you more than I can possibly say in words. Many hugs, happy crafting, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.